Hey, welcome back to the Quarter Century Soldier, the mini series about my service as a United States Army soldier, 25 years of service. I'm Felix Black, and today we're talking about the year 2007. Okay, so 2007 is an active year. So if this is your first episode, you're getting ready to be here for a minute because a lot of things happening in 2007. So 2006 sees me deployed to Baghdad, Iraq, working at the Baghdad ER. To get caught up on that one, please go back and look at 2006, that episode. Okay, so here we are in January 2007, and I've been over there since August. All right, I've been there since August. Got the swing of things, spent the Christmas, Thanksgiving. They did what they could as far as for those who were deployed. I haven't gone on R&R yet. You do get a 2-week break to take when you want to. But it's not just when you want to. It's kind of like you have to coordinate between your office. So you have coverage for people. Your whole office can't be gone at the same time, obviously. But everybody's afforded R&R. And what you do with your R&R, you don't have to pay for a ticket or anything. You just tell them when you're going and they send you back. But, we'll get there. All right. So in January, like I said, I met my good friend. We're gelling, like we're hitting on all cylinders, right? He is one rank above me. He sees that I have the ability to get promoted. Like, what the hell are you waiting on, right? You need to get promoted. So we start training for what we call the promotion board. The promotion board is nothing more than an interview process. We have regulations, we have pamphlets that we study over the wear of the uniform, customs and courtesies, physical training, evaluations. It's all types of things. So you have to study. You get like a list of topics and you just go through the regulations. You look online, get different study guides, and pray to God that they ask you the questions that you went over. So I'm going to the board in January. I go to the board. We studied up. He's pushed me. He's fucking tested me. He started. He was quizzing me so much, that I was tired of it, right? But that's the way it's supposed to be. You're supposed to be tired of being quizzed. Like, I want this to be over already because I'm ready to go. So I go to the board in January for NCO of the month, Sergeant of the month. We win that, right? Kill that. So what happens is if you go to and you win the NCO of the month, that means you went through the kind of the same board process, kind of the same, right? But it's a competition. So I'm competing against 4 other people, and whoever, scores the highest wins. So if you win the month before, you go back the next month. So this isn't for promotion. This is just for a competition board. This is to prepare you for promotion. So if you win, which I did, when you go to the board the next month, you win. Well, you don't win, but they usually give you a pass. They ask you some very basic questions, and then you're out of there, right? Because you've already won the competition. So you've shown that you're probably ready to be promoted. Well, you've shown that you are ready. So I went in January, and I go to the promotion board in February. They asked me one question. So you have a board in front of you, senior leaders, E8s and the E9. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you have a 5th member, which is non-voting unless they have to break the tie. Usually each person has about 3 to 4 different areas, and they'll ask about 3 to 4 questions per. So once I won the NCO of the month, when I went back in there for the promotion, obviously they knew I had won because those were the same people that were on the board before. So they just asked me to sing. They asked me who my favorite artist was, like song artist. And I said Akon. I already knew that because I went the month prior. So they were like, well, sing sing the Army song in the voice of Akon, right? So if you go in there and you like Harry Belafonte, they're going to tell you to sing the song in the voice of Harry Belafonte. I can't sing, right? So if you know Akon, you know he pretty much sounds like me. So I could just sing in my normal voice. So that's how I got around that. So I got to the promotion board, got max points. I'm now promotable to E6, right? One thing about being a lab tech, a laboratory scientist, like I said before, it's one of the hardest courses in the Army. So if you're able to get through the course and you're athletically gifted, meaning you like to work out, you can, you're good at physical fitness, you're one of the top soldiers in the Army. I'm going to say it, mentally and physically, right? Mentally tough, physically tough, because you can grind through, a 2-year course at George Washington in a year. You just throw information. So I always tell them, we get a lot of smart people that come through the course. When I was an instructor, we'll get to that later. They're good mentally, but as everyone knows, usually like nerds, really smart people aren't good physically, right? They're really awkward. They aren't into sports. They're not good physically. So we get a lot of that. We get a lot of people who are really smart in the classroom, but they're not good when it comes to the fitness. So they're barely passing their fitness tests. If you find a lab scientist that can pass the course, who's a good lab tech and is good physically, they're usually pretty good and you're usually winning competitions because we can study, we can cram, we can retain information and regurgitate it. And then we have the physical side too. Usually other jobs in the Army have a problem doing one or the other, usually. So with that said, I've set the standard. I won in January. Like I said, I went to the desert with 3 other people. So it was me and 3. I'm in charge of them. So because I won, I wanted them to go, right? One of the things that the Army always says that I don't necessarily agree with is, you lead from the front. So if you want someone to do something, you do it first and then they do it. I mean, that sounds good, but at a certain point, I don't have to necessarily do what the worker bee is doing. That's why they're the worker bee. That's why I'm the manager. I oversee it, right? If I'm down there doing it, I can't oversee the entire project. That's neither here nor there. I won in January. And so now I want, my soldiers to go. So we ended up setting up like a course, me and my best friend now. We ended up setting up a course, a study course, to where we prepare you for the board. We kind of try to throw you off your game. We kind of try to distract you because pretty much it's an interview process. So you have to be really robotic. You don't show any personality. It's an interview like you would know it in the civilian world, but it's more formal, right? It's really formal. I've never been through an interview. I've only seen it on TV, but it's not conversational, where I believe interviews in the civilian world are a little conversational. Like, hey, so what do you bring to the team? What do you know about us? Can you share things? When you go to the promotion board, they're asking you questions. Oh, what is this pamphlet? What is the regulation for customs and courtesies? Where do you walk when you're walking with someone more senior to you? And you just answer, right? There's no conversation. Now, you do a bio, so you tell them about yourself, and they may ask you, why should you be promoted? Why should you win the competition? But that's about it. So, we created a study group, me and him. I had already gone through and won the competition, got max points at the promotion board. So we knew it worked. So that's our credibility right there. So when we tell them to come through the course, because, in the hospital, lab techs, we're the smartest ones in there. We send everybody through, man. It wasn't done on purpose. And I don't want to make it sound like I got a kick out of it. But we really like broke people down. We broke them down to build them back up, right? So we have creeds that we have, like I said, you have to say a bio. Hello, my name is Felix Black. I'm from Hilton Head, South Carolina. I joined the Army in 2000. So you go through your whole bio, right? The people who are listening are reading, they're looking at their phone, they're doing all types of stuff. But you have to remain laser focused, right? Boom. This is, I was born here. This is the job I had. I was human resources. My first duty station, I went to Fort Campbell, Kentucky, where I worked in an infantry unit. It doesn't matter what they're doing. And when I say we broke people down, is we would say, okay, do your bio. And we would be like in their face. We'd be talking to them, saying stuff to them, like walking around. We'd be making noise because, again, we want you to be, when you go in there, we want you to be locked in. We don't care what's happening around you. You know your stuff, right? You know what's going on, and nothing's gonna phase you. And when you mess up, you had to start over. So we broke some people down. There was tears shed, but it wasn't because of what we were doing, right? We're bringing out the best in someone, right? And so when you have that credibility, when you're like a coach, like a Bill Belichick or a Nick Saban or someone who's won championships, and you get put through their process, sometimes it humbles you. I'm not saying we were championships, but we had at that time, like, we were the creme de la creme, right? I'm coming off of winning the NCO of the month over everyone else in the hospital, getting a perfect score on the promotion board. So we had that cachet to do that. And the soldiers knew that, right? They knew that we were on top of our shit. We're not playing games. Like, we're not just telling you what we think. We're telling you what we know, what's tried and true. And so it was very good. It was very intense, but everybody won when they went to the competition. Every single one of them. So much so that we had our soldiers competing against each other because we couldn't space it out. We had so many people that wanted to go. They wanted to go to the competition, then they wanted to go to the promotion board, right? But this is January. I ended up leaving in August, so it's 7 months. We had so many soldiers. I think we had I had 3. I think there was like 7, 8 that worked in the lab too. So we wanted to cycle everyone through who wanted to go. Some people had to go, right? If we saw potential in you, you might not have wanted to go, but you were going to go. And it was just like I said when I was at Campbell. We're going to make your life hell until you go and get it done. But every single one of them won. The only ones that didn't win were when they were competing against each other. Everyone in the lab that went and competed against all of the other hospital, they won. So what we were doing back there, we were killing it. We were on top of our ish. And that was something that made me really proud because all 3 guys that I went with, I was their sponsor. So I go in there and I vouch for them. They won. We had, I ended up taking another person from the lab. She didn't win, but she didn't win because she's competing against another lab tech. You know what I'm saying? Like, so we're cannibalizing each other because we're kicking everybody else's ass. It was amazing. And that just brought us like closer together, like as a group, because we went through that process. So that was like a 4, 5, 6 month process that we did that. And it was a lot of fun. Like I said, we weren't trying to like embarrass anybody, but sometimes when you're going through the process, you get humbled because lab techs, we think we're rock stars because we're really smart. But when you meet someone else who's on your level, right, then you're kind of like, okay, I'm not as locked in as I thought I was, because she is really locked in. But at the end of the day, they all came out and they're all flourishing now, but that they started, I'd like to think that they started like at that time, that preparation. It's kind of like tangent for a second, but it's kind of like when I was saying about my blog, if you haven't seen it, about Luka going to the Lakers. They're saying he's lazy. He doesn't prepare, but he's talented. Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. So pair him with LeBron, who is a prepper, who prepares, who works hard, to maximize his talent, right? And so when you pair him with that, he's going to see that. He's going to feel that. It's going to rub off on him. And so now he's going to start to prepare. And so that's what we were doing. We were breeding. I don't want to say breeding. We were starting good habits. And I think it continues because a lot of them exceeded me. They're doing awesome things. But, I just remember us starting way back then at the hospital in Baghdad. Yeah. So I ended up getting, before that, I re-enlisted while I was over there. So my last re-enlistment was 2003, signed up for 4 years. It's 2007. Actually, your window for re-enlistment opens up a year before, right? So they start, pinging you and say, hey, you can re-enlist. What do you want? What's some options you want? Sometimes you can re-enlist to go where you want to go. Sometimes you can re-enlist for money. At a certain point, you don't get offered shit. Like if you re-enlist, okay, you just do 4 more years, get the fuck out of our faces. So at this time, 2007, my rank was in high demand, so they wanted me to stay in. So I ended up re-enlisting for 4 more years, and I ended up getting a $22,000 signing bonus. Because I'm overseas, that was tax-free. Yes. So yeah, that's when the Army wants you to stay in, they will give you a bonus to stay in. And usually that's at your younger grades. Once you become like 15 years in, they don't give a shit about you anymore. You don't get any bonuses. But when you're on your first enlistment, second enlistment, third enlistment, there's a chance you could get bonuses. So I was able to get one while I was over there, which was cool because that's gonna impact me come the end of 2007. Re-enlisted for 4 more years. I didn't have anything else to do. I really didn't. So again, people ask like, man, you did 25 years. Like, what? They don't want to say like what happened, but they always ask that question like, how? You do 4 years. You sign up for 4 years. It's like you can see from these episodes, most years are go, go, go. And before you know it, you're in year 3 of your 4 year. So you start negotiating, right, for your next year, because they say, hey, if you don't re-enlist by this date, you got to get the hell out of here. And so that, and you start to negotiate, and then you end up re-enlisting before you finish the 4. So it's probably about 3.5, 3.25. And then again, I'm at 6 years now. 7 years, because it's 2007. So I'm at 7 years now. Re-enlist for another 4. That's going to carry me to 11, right? To 2011. Re-enlisted while I was over there. I finished my bachelor's degree in health science in 2007. I was magna cum laude. Magna cum laude, yeah. In health science, a bachelor's degree. So I finished that. I was grinding it out, man, and then I immediately went into the graduate degree, right? But I didn't finish that in 2007, obviously. So finished the degree. I actually left the desert in August. Almost a year to the day. We got back. Well, I took R&R. I'm jumping all over the place. I took R&R in May. The end of May, like Memorial Day time. And so back then, I don't, it may still happen. I'm not really sure. It's been so long since I've actually looked. We had a newspaper called the Army Times. And every month at a certain time, at a certain day, they published the names of those people who got promoted. Right. So after you go to the promotion board, it takes about 60 days, 30 days to become effective. So you start looking online. Now, online wasn't as prevalent as it is now, but you would get the newspaper. I have a copy of it. You'd be in the Army Times, and it would have the whole list of everyone who's getting promoted on the first of each month. So you get promoted on 1 January, you find out the end of May. Like, hey, on 1 June, you're going to be promoted. At the end of June, you find out 1 July, you're going to get promoted. So while I was on R&R, I found out that I was going to get promoted in 1 June, right? 1 June. So my best friend is still overseas because he had already gone on his R&R. R&R was like 2 weeks. I ended up going back to Victory Base, going back to Kuwait, then back to the United States. Your 2 weeks doesn't start until you hit the United States. So it may take you 3 or 4 days to get back to the United States just because. People were wondering how I got promoted. Like it wasn't, I won't say it was such a big deal, but people actually questioned it. Like they couldn't believe it. Why couldn't they believe it? This was probably, if I had to choose a time where my attitude towards being liked was at its peak, it's probably this time, 2007. I'm 26 years old. I genuinely thought that as long as you do a good job, people will not care about your attitude. And I was wrong. I was dead wrong. And this was the eye-opening experience for that. I worked almost 7 days a week. Like I told everybody, like I told you, I deployed over there on my own. I didn't get assigned a unit until I got to Fort Bliss and I met these, 3 other guys who did the same thing. So when we went overseas, the 28th Cache, which was the combat support hospital that came in September, they were short on lab techs. So I volunteered to help them. I wasn't supposed to be running their microbiology, but because our pathology team, it wasn't enough work for 4 people, right? But that's not my problem. Like that's not my problem. I'm here to do the duty that I was assigned to do. But you know what? Let me help you. So I ended up working microbiology for them while they're there, while I was there. There was no one else qualified. No one. So I ended up almost working 7 days a week. I had to literally come in late some days just to get time off. I mean, it's not, I know people can be like, well, you're at war, you shouldn't have time off. I'm not a fucking machine. I'm human, right? I'm human. So you cannot tell me that you're going to be working 7 days a week for 12 months in an active war zone. No fucking way. Everybody needs a break. Everybody. But for the most part, I'm working 7 days a week. I'm growing bacteria and growing viruses. So I have to come in before a certain time or the bacteria gets overgrown, right? I can't read it if it's grown too much because it's been in the incubator for 24 hours, 18 hours, right? It's supposed to be like 12 to 18. So I'm working almost 7 days a week, helping them. And yeah, my attitude was not the greatest, but it was because I wasn't appreciated. I didn't need to help them. Like they needed me. And so that was part of the problem, and part of my issue was one of the things about the Army is senior leaders will step on your shoulders to get recognition and to look well, to look good, but they don't always send those praises back down. Right? They stand on your shoulders because The person that was in charge of the lab did not know how to do any of that shit that was in there. So when I talked about leading from the front, doing what your people are doing and knowing, she didn't do that. She managed everything. She put people where they were supposed to be. I can't hate on that. Can't hate on that because as a manager, that's what you're supposed to do. So I step in to help them because they're short. I'm killing it. Like I'm doing I'm doing a damn good job, so much so that I actually got asked to do a study on nosocomial infections, which are infections that you pick up in the hospital because of, conditions, whether it be, dirty IVs or just dirty sanitary conditions. So in addition to the workload coming in from the patients, they are now just swabbing different areas around like the patient area, a certain patient. Like they would swab if I was a patient, they're gonna swab my IV area. You know what I mean? Like if I have some sort of splint or something on, some sort of brace, they're swabbing that. And I'm having to take on those specimens too. Never once complained, but I like structure. So because I'm doing this study, I now have more eyes on me and more people are coming back in there and just, moving stuff around and working and doing stuff like, oh, whoa, 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 whoa. I understand that this is not my section, but it is my section, right? Like I work in here every single day. You just can't come in here, move furniture, and then leave. Like I have things set up a certain way. So when I come back tomorrow, I know where things are. I'm just organized like that. It's always helped me as a lab tech. People think that it's amazing when they see it like in my house, but I just like things organized because sometimes I forget. But if I know if I put this pen in this drawer tonight, it's just me. So when I come back tomorrow, it should be there. I'm not like, where's my pen? That's what my organization boils down to. I just like things, I like symmetry and I like things where they're supposed to be. So you got people coming in here and they just like moving stuff around and, you come in, there's papers all over the place. There's trays, there's patient stuff moved and they're mixed. And it's just like, can y'all have some respect? I mean, I get it. You're a colonel. I don't know. You're like a chief medical researcher who's here just to do that. And you just don't have any respect for the work that I'm doing here. You're just concerned about the stuff that you're doing. So this is the way I'm thinking, but people are looking at me like, oh, he's not a team player because, he's complaining about people in his section. Yeah, because no one else is doing that. No one's going into your section and doing that. They're just coming to mine. Granted, I'm a part of a bigger study that's being published, for military knowledge. Cool, I got that. But, it's not always about getting the praise and getting your name in the magazine and shit like that. It's just, I like things a certain way. And if you're going to assign me to do a job, damn it, let me do it. Don't tell me how to do it. Let me do it. That's what the basis is. So needless to say, I had what they considered a bad attitude. It wasn't a bad attitude. I'm not being mean. I'm not being loud, belligerent, not being any of that. But I'm a direct person. I don't care what your rank is. I'm a human being. I should be able to speak. Just because you don't like what I'm saying doesn't mean I'm going to stop talking. So the people in charge of the labs were not my leaders. Right? They were just assigned there because I'm helping them out. But the team that we deployed as, I'm in charge of that. Like, I'm the guy. I'm the guy. But because they saw free help, they wanted to corral that. They wanted to temper that. And that's where we had a lot of problems, because at the end of the day, I'm not assigned to you guys. I'm helping you out. You're not gonna dog me. Needless to say, this is one of the reasons why me and my best friend are the way that they are the way that we are. Because when it was time to leave, I was supposed to get a bronze star, just like everybody else. Like I said, I went there in charge of a 4-man team. The 4-man team, we did our job excellently, and we upgraded the equipment that was there. I worked in micro, helping the cash, and I also did emergency blood drives, and I got my soldiers, promotable status, winning soldier of the month, all of them, all 3 of them, and 2 others from their area. Part of a bigger study, for military research. But they just didn't like my fucking attitude. So none of that other shit mattered, because they didn't like me, because I wasn't likable. And so this is where me and my best friend differ, because he can play that game. And at that time, I couldn't. And I wouldn't. I just refused to do that. Like, bullshit. If they don't, my job should speak for itself, right? But now I understand people want you to be good at your job and want to like you. People would rather like you than you be good at your job. We all know, somebody who's terrible at their job, but they're very likable as a person. So a lot of people just overlook their shit, right? People don't, he ain't working, she ain't working, she running her mouth, she doing it. Oh, but they're so nice, they're so sweet, they're so great. But you might have somebody who's really good at their job, but they're just not social, and it's not taken the same way. So that's me. And so here's where I think we really jailed, because he was a rock star. He was doing a lot of things too, and he got his bronze star. So what he could have did, he was good in their eyes. He could do no wrong, right? He was the golden child. Rightfully so. He was really good. He could have easily taken his award and just left, right? We just met not even a year ago. Not even a year ago. So he didn't owe me anything. He didn't need to do anything, but he did, right? He put his name on the line for me and vouched for me harder than he needed to. And so while I value loyalty, like, that was something that I respected then and I respect now, because he didn't have to do that. He really went hard in the paint. I didn't get the award, but you know how some people say, I tried, but they, but they didn't approve it. But they really didn't put in effort. Like, they didn't put their name on the line for you. They kind of just, I want Felix to get this award, but if he doesn't, it's okay. Like, no, he submitted it. They kicked it back. We sat down to rewrite it. Like, we had a meeting with the leaders that was over the lab, all of that. Right? He went hard in the paint when he didn't have to. And so while I didn't get the top award, I got the next one under. And that kind of sealed it for me, because he didn't have to do that. And so I'm always a person that's just like, if you do something for me that you don't have to do, you're doing it just because I fuck with you. Like, I fuck with what you're doing. I know who you are. Like, I know what you're about, and you're misunderstood, right? You're misunderstood. Like, I just said all the things that I did, but my attitude wasn't good. And like I said, we have the same attitude. We have the same attitude, the exact same, but he's able to be personable and friendly. So that's where I tried to learn it from. But yeah, he really went hard in the paint for me when he didn't have to. And that's something that's not important to me. But if someone does that without me asking, then Yeah, I rock with you because you rock with me, and that's how it usually works with me. I rock with those who rock with me. Simple as that. If you don't, cool, I get it. But if you do, you do. That means because you see through those layers. So he put his rep on the line, and it didn't damage him. It didn't damage him at all because he had built that cachet with him. But just the fact that he tried. So I also, once I finished the degree, I applied to leave the lab and become a research scientist specifically. So within the lab field, 2007 was popping for me. So 2007, once you get a bachelor's degree, you become a biological science assistant, a research scientist. So you go work at a research center, and you don't work in the lab where you're drawing people's blood, doing pregnancy tests, doing glucose tests, doing urine tests. You no longer do that. You go to one of the highly specialized research facilities because you need a 4-year degree to actually be in the job. So you go to one of those and you do infectious diseases. You do like aeromedical medicine, like medevacs and helicopters and stuff like that. You have Walter Reed and Army Institute of Research, which is like general catch-all. They do like international. They do vaccines. They do blood research, clinical trials, all that stuff. And then you have like, did I say infectious diseases? You have infectious diseases. You have the place where they do like our uniform testing and stuff like that. So it's really interesting, but it's only like 6 places. And then you have, there's a research center in San Antonio where they do surgical research because the burn center is here. So you're highly specialized, and you're a 1%er of the research of the lab techs. Now you're a research scientist. So you go to research centers. So I applied to do that because I didn't want to go back to the lab. I didn't want to do that. So I applied while I was deployed overseas. And so when I got back, I went to Kimbrough to out-process, and then I moved to Walter Reed Army Institute of Research to take over their blood research department. What did I do there? We researched new ways of storing blood for longer periods of time for people who were deployed, for people who were in austere environments, kind of like Red Cross, stuff like that. So that was the first thing that I did while I was there. So let's get back to the signing bonus, right? So I got $22K. $22K. And when I came back, I really didn't have any debt while I was gone because I wasn't spending anything. The only thing I was paying for was storage, my storage unit. So when I got back, I still had my Buick, my white Buick. And one day I was driving down the street and it was raining. I don't think I was going that fast, but obviously I was going fast enough. I started to hydroplane. On the interstate. It wasn't the interstate, it was more like a highway. And once I started to hydroplane, like I spun around. I didn't hit anything. I just spun around and ended up like in the ditch off to the side. It wasn't like a deep one. It was kind of just like a little ravine. But yeah, I was like, I need another vehicle in case this one stops working for whatever reason. That was my introduction to 2 vehicles. So when I got back, my gift for myself coming off a deployment was to buy a Tahoe. The Tahoes had just changed their body style and became more to the rounded type. So this was 2007. I bought a 2008 Tahoe. It was like $45,000. I didn't pay cash for it or anything like that, but I bought that and it had like 8 miles on it. My very first new car, because my Buick was used. It was a 2000. So this is my very first new car, brand spanking new. The only miles on it was the miles that I drove it for the test drive. I was like, yep, fucking hook me up. Still have it today. It's still parked out front. 2008 Tahoe, right? This has like 140,000 miles on it. But yeah, so it wasn't like I wasted my money. Just, you know what I mean? Like I didn't put no rims or nothing on it like that. But yeah, I still have it. I bought it in 2007. Still got it. 18 years later. It's on it's on its last leg though. It's on its last leg though, but I got my money's worth out of it. So yeah, I still have that. I was no longer renting furniture. So before I left, like I said, I was renting furniture from Rent-A-Center. I had a bedroom set. I didn't have a living room set. So, you know, I rented furniture. Why? I don't know, because I never had company like that. But now I went and bought a sectional. It's brown microfiber sectional. It was $2,500. I bought that. And still had it until when they delivered it last October. It didn't go with my decor now. So I told the movers that they could have it because I'm not a seller. I'm not a person that likes to put things on Facebook or on Craigslist, whatever the hell you sell on now. So I still had that 17 years later. 17 years, 18 years later, 17, 18. So yeah, a microfiber sectional that was just humongous and heavy. But at that time, it was like brown coffee, not brown coffee, caramel colored. Still got it though. So I'm not a person that buys stuff and like trashes it really quickly. Like I keep stuff because I'm used to not having stuff. So yeah, I thought that was funny that happened because I still had them and I just got rid of them. So when I got back, I just out processed where I was working up at Fort Meade, and I moved to DC to start working at Walter Reed Army Institute of Research. And so that's what carries me into 2008. So my final story for 2007, right? And I didn't go in chronological order because I didn't want to like speak on this part and then keep going. Once I speak on this part, like this is the end of this episode. So in July of 2007, July 10th of 2007, we lost an Army nurse that worked at our hospital to a mortar attack. She was the first Army nurse killed since the Vietnam War and the first in Iraqi freedom, which was the reason why we deployed. That was the name. Her name was Captain Maria Ortiz. I knew her, talked to her, emailed with her. So it wasn't like just some random person that was in our unit. So like I said, I got there in August and everything was good until that July day. Let me tell you how that happened. So I always tell this story, and my best friend is not going to tell this story because it affected him differently, and he's not going to take what's the word I'm looking for? He's not going to take the credit for what happened. So to July 10th, 2007, we are sitting in the donor center. It's a group of us. Like I said, our group, we had become close because we had been there for a while. We had been there almost a year, right? Almost a year. And all of us, our group had bonded through the study group that we had. Like it was like a boot camp for study group, right? But it was like a mental thing. So we were all like, cool. we had a store on in the green zone. It was probably a mile down the road, probably maybe a mile and a half, right? So we had made plans to go to the store. Me and my best friend, we were lockstep, right? Like we were we were the Lion Kings of the Pride, right? So as we moved, everyone else moved. He's a late person, so he's never on time. So one of the persons in our group was like, "Hey, let's go to the store." He was like, "Cool, let's go." So he was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go too. Let me just finish what he's doing." So he was like, "All right, cool." So we ended up waiting for a little while, and so she's like, come on, like let's go. Like we need to leave." And so he's done doing what he needs to do, but at this point, he is just messing around with her. So he's just like making her wait because she's like, come on, let's go. So we kind of were just playing off of his energy because he was messing with her. Like he was, annoying her. So finally we get up to go. When we get up, whenever you leave outside of the hospital, you have to take your rifle with you, and you have to wear your protective vest. It's a vest with, plates in it, shrapnel plates. So it has some weight to it, but it's supposed to protect you if, you take shrapnel. And we wear Kevlar helmets. We don't just walk around like this, right? So we walk around in protective gear. So we all get ready to leave the hospital. When you're leaving the hospital, you had to walk, because it was guarded. You had to walk out straight, then you make a left, and then you make a quick right. Because what it is, the front of the hospital has what we call T-walls. They're probably 7 feet tall, and they're full concrete. So it's like T-wall, T-wall, T-wall. All you can see is just concrete in front of the hospital when you exit. And the whole exit is concrete. So it was probably about 5-6 of us, and we're leaving the hospital. So when we leave the hospital, we we go straight. To leave, make the left, and once you make a quick right, you're on the street. So basically, right now, when I finish making that right, the T wall is next to me, so I'm pretty much in between them because they run the length of the street in both ways. So when we get to the T-wall, we have to make a right to go to the store. So as soon as we make the right, we hear a crash. Like, crash. Like, what the hell is that? And we hear another crash. And the sirens start to go off. So what we have above us is we have a virtual net. I want to say it's infrared, it's lasers, but it's virtual. So it's like a cone that's over the green zone. No, obviously you can't see it. It's a signal based thing. So once something comes through and breaks that net, that the net that's up there, sirens go off. And sirens mean incoming, rockets, mortar, something. So once we hear the sirens, we break. Like, oh shit, there's incoming fucking rockets, mortars that's hitting. And it sounds, I can hear it. I just can't describe it. It's like a crash sound. So we all just disperse. I think the group that was with us ran back into the hospital. Me and my best friend, we went, I don't know why we did that. We went across the street because they had these bunkers where when there's incoming artillery, you have to get down. Like you're supposed to go in there. It's nothing more than an upside down U. And you kind of, it's not, you have to like kneel to get in there. It's really low to the ground. It's not like something that's big that you stand in. So you're basically in there just kind of like kneeling down. And and it's made of concrete too, but it's right outside the hospital because we were getting ready to walk down the street. We started to hear crash, crash. The sirens go off, and the crashes are still happening. Oh shit, is incoming. We got to get the fucking safety. So me and him run over there. He said that there was 3 of us in there. I don't remember there being a third person. I just remember me and him in there. And again, the sides of this thing are open. It's almost because you can walk in there or you can like crouch in there. And shit is just landing everywhere. Boom, 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 boom. I'm looking at him, he's looking at me, because if something lands on the outside of this bunker, that's it. Like, it's going to kill us. I don't think that resonated then. It resonates now. So it's incoming. You cannot move until you get the all clear. You don't want to fucking move until you get the all clear, because it's legit. And like, once you're sitting there and you're listening to it, it is a distinct sound. So it's mortars and it's rockets that people are shooting over into the zone. They're Iraqis, so it's not, artillery isn't necessarily built on accuracy. It's built on a general area and explosion, shrapnel. When it explodes, shrapnel's going everywhere. So again, if one of those hit near us, that's it. Like that literally is it. I don't know how long we were in there, maybe 25, 30 minutes. And the shit is just crashing. It's just going on. It's just going down. Finally, we get the all clear. He said it was somebody else in there. I don't remember there being a third person in there. I just remember the look in his eyes. And we got the all clear. So we go back into the hospital. They start to bring people in. So we don't even have time to like process what just happened. Because just because they said the all clear, it doesn't mean it's like a buffer between when the last one hits and when you get the all clear, because they have to make sure there's nothing else coming in. So it was a lapse. So when we got the all clear, we go back into the hospital. Like I said, we treated Iraqis too. So there were Iraqis that were hit by those rockets that were coming into the zone, because some of them, not all of the Iraqis were enemies. Some of them were friendlies. So they like worked in the hospital. There were others that were interpreters that worked on the base, because, you know, it's their home. We're just there. So not everyone is the enemy. But they were bringing in, you know, Iraqis, burned, hurt. It was a shit show. And we didn't have time to process. We didn't have time to just get over what had just happened, because people started coming in and we got to run tests. We got to get blood drives going so we can give people blood and give them platelets and stuff like that. And I remember seeing him. I thought that he was, I don't want to say sick, but I thought that he was sick because he was sniffling. And I didn't take that as him like visibly upset, because I didn't see him from the front once we got back into the hospital. I saw him like from the side, and I heard him like that. So I thought he was kind of just like breathing in, like he might have been sick or something. I don't know. The brain works in a weird way. Maybe I just interpreted what I wanted to interpret. But now that, you know, we are where we are now, and I know more about how he felt that day, I think that he was like fucked up. Like he was upset, but he didn't have time to process that, and we had to get to work. And so that's what we did. We got to work. So we're doing that because Iraqis are coming in on gurneys, and, you know, it's people hurt, but it's not, and it's real. But you don't think about that. You just think someone's hurt. I got to help them. And then we get the word that Captain Ortiz had been hurt. Right. So everybody's like, what? Like, what the fuck? Like, what happened? So she comes in. I didn't see when she came in, but she went straight to the ER, obviously. And they pronounced her in the ER. It was a sad day. And so, as the story continues to come out, we find out that she was coming from the store. The same store that we were on our way to. The same store that was a mile and a half down the street. She was coming to the hospital and we were going to the store. So we would have met had we kept walking, had she kept walking. It's wild to think that that's what would, that I'm not theorizing. I'm not guessing. That's what would have happened. Had those rockets not hit when they did, we would have met her. We would have been face to face with her at some point. I don't know how long, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I don't know. But she was coming from the store. We were going to the store. And so the thing, I don't believe in coincidences. The thing that saved us from not leaving when we were supposed to leave was him messing around with annoying one of our friends that works with us. If we had left initially, once he was finished and once she initially wanted to leave, we would have been at the store almost the same time that she was there. And it's crazy to think that because he was joking. Of course, he didn't know anything about that. He was just, messing around. But because we hesitated for those 10 to 15 minutes, that saved us. He's not going to say it. He doesn't have to say it. And I can understand why he won't say it, because no one's going to say, I saved you type shit. No one's going to say that. No one with a good character is going to say that. And he's not going to say that. But that's what happened. And so if he won't tell the story, I will, because I always say, he saved my life by doing that. If he does not do that, we are walking on that street and we cross paths with her. I don't know where she was in the process. We just know that she was on her way back walking. So it kind of puts things in perspective. It's if timing, I always believe in timing. And because that happened, I always believe in timing. Nothing's a coincidence. Everything happens for a reason. Yeah. So every Memorial Day, I think about Captain Maria Ortiz, 28th Cash, Support Hospital nurse. She was the only person that we lost in our unit, and it just wasn't the same after that happened because, it became very real for everyone that was there. So this has been 2007. Rest in peace to Captain Ortiz, and I will see y'all in the next one.